Toastmasters meeting for tonight. It is July 28th at 7:45. As we just mentioned, we have a guest tonight, Phil Carr. Thank you very much. Is it Carp?
Yes, K-A-R-P.
Phil Carp. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us this evening. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which all of its members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. So let's all hear it for our mission for tonight. Without further ado, let's get started with our meeting proper. To kick us off is our Toastmaster, who is myself. So thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much. Our theme for tonight is hot fun in the summertime. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a hot summer for sure this year. So it's a very fitting theme. And we have a quote for tonight to fit that. A perfect summer day is when the sun is shining, the breeze is blowing, the birds are singing, and the lawnmower is broken.
Okay.
And that's a quote by James Dent. We'll move right along with our role players for this evening, starting with our timer, who, guess what, is also myself. So,
yeah.
I'll hand it off once again to myself to talk about my role as the timer. As the timer, I will be in charge of timing the different aspects of tonight's meeting. We don't have any speeches for tonight, but we do have a table topics session. Table topics are 1 to 2 minute impromptu speeches. And so I will give you, I've got these handy flashcards here. Hold on. I'll give you the green at 1 minute, the yellow at 1:30, and the red at 2 minutes, at which point you'll have 30 seconds to finish up your table topic speech. We also have evaluations. We have a table topics evaluation, which I think we'll decide how much time that table topics evaluator has. And I will give a report at the end of the meeting on the times.
Do you have a featured speaker tonight?
We do not. We do not have any speakers for tonight, unfortunately. Unless you have a speech out of your back pocket. No.
Well, you'd have to give me a subject, I guess. I can talk on pretty much anything.
Okay. We'll move right along to our grammarian, who is Bob Fogle. Take it away, Bob.
This evening, my role is the grammarian. And as a grammarian, my responsibility is to pay close attention to all the speakers, listen carefully to their language usage, take notes of any improper language, as well as any outstanding words, phrases, sayings, or thoughts. As a grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. Drum roll, please. The word of the day is mesmerize.
Ooh.
And which means having your attention by a spell, fascination, hypnotic, spellbound, things of that nature. And a good example of this is Dan was mesmerized by Jean's beauty and wit, and that's why he got married.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Bob, could you post the word in chat so we can remember it?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Okay. And so each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. And I will give the grammarian's report when called upon and share the end of the meeting, the report at the end of the meeting, and then of the word of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
You know, Aaron, this is Phil again. I'll take you up on the offer. I'll give a short speech. And this is a speech, an abbreviated speech I gave at my club about a month ago. It is a slightly controversial speech. I don't know how open you would be to a little bit of controversy.
Yes, Jean.
I'm going to say, Phil, this is this a manual speech? Are you, do you have a manual?
No, this is not actually a manual speech
Okay.
per se.
Okay, so here's the thing, and we have our meetings broadcast. They are on TV and they go
really?
to, yes, and they go throughout Fairfield, and we are actually a very hot draw for people who are stuck at home and can't go anywhere. We have a fan base. For all you fans out there, we do appreciate you. No, seriously. So Phil, I think what we would do is if you come again and you have a manual speech, you know, something like your next one in your level, like you did your icebreaker and you have your, you know, we would be happy to give me a heads up and say you'd like to be scheduled, and I'm happy to schedule that in. Okay.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
That's what I think I'd like to, you know, just have it work today.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
No
I would
problem.
agree with that, Jean. So
Mhm.
thank you for that.
Okay. We got to be
I
careful of our audience, Phil.
Yeah.
You know,
We-
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next. All right. Now we'll move on to our counter, who for tonight is Rick Starr. Take it away, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. My role as an odd counter is to count the filler words that are inadvertently used by the speakers. Words such as but, repetition, words like that. And at the end of the meeting, I will give the report. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Counter. Later on this evening, we'll also hear from our general evaluator, who is Jean Symington Craig, and we will hear a joke from her husband, Dan Craig. So look forward to that at the end of the meeting. At this time, we would like to move on to our table topics session, who I believe we actually have two different table topics masters hosting for this evening. The first of which, according to the agenda, is Rick Starr. Would you like to start us off, Rick?
Just
Thank
one
you,
quick
Mr.
question.
Did I miss something?
No, Bob and I are evaluators. So I'm just going to say, Bob, I will evaluate the first, third, fifth speakers, and you can do the even ones.
Okay.
Do it that way.
Sure.
So I got the first one.
So
Okay.
Jean, how are we going to work this? I'll go, how many should I do? And then how many would you do?
Well, why don't you do, let's see, what, 3 or 4? And then,
Okay.
I mean, I'm thinking at least 3. And
Okay.
then that will give everybody, and then we'll see where we are, have some extra questions. And I just wanted to tell Phil, so we do evaluate table topics, which I think, you know, you're getting that sense. And we also don't announce the question before you've actually volunteered, because we're working on the impromptu muscle group part of the brain. So we want to make sure that you're up at bat and you don't know what kind of pitch is coming and how do you deal with that, again, within the 1 to 2 minute time frame.
Okay,
So-
thank you for that explanation, and I'm game.
All right, well, good. I'm so glad you're game.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. In Toastmasters, we have two types of speeches. Prepared speeches, where you know the topic ahead of time and you spend time writing it, and impromptu speeches, where you don't know the topic and it's a much shorter speech. And as Jean just mentioned, it's good practice speaking extemporaneously. So who would like to be the first table topic speaker?
I'm game.
Oh,
Okay. Phil. Phil, tell us about the best vacation you were ever on. The best vacation you were ever on.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters. That's an interesting question. A lot comes to my mind, but I guess I'll feature a cruise, which my wife and I took several years ago around the exotic Polynesian islands out in the Great Pacific. So we initially flew from Los Angeles actually to the capital of Tahiti, which was a heck of a long flight. But when we were there, finally when we were there, we were part of an escorted boat tour to several of the islands around the Polynesian islands. Now, it stretches out over many, many hundreds of miles. And so we only visited a few prominent ones. But I'll tell you, it lived up to its reputation of the beautiful, beautiful island mountains with the mist hanging low over the top of the mountains, the rugged peripheries of some of the islands, where on one of these islands we went on a small van to a remote area inland, and we were the only visitors at that spot where it was crystal clear water beach area. But I can't overemphasize the beauty of the natural landscape, I mean, as a tourist. Now, the natives there are officially citizens of the country of France, and they do receive a living subsidy as being citizens there in Tahiti, and they do live a pretty subsistence type of lifestyle. But for the foreign residents who have the money to own property there, especially homes, it can be a very isolating but a beautiful locale to visit or to live in, but it's very expensive, obviously. Anyway, it's very remote. The closest civilized country is about a 2.5-hour plane trip to New Zealand. So the Polynesian chain islands are really isolated within the Great Pacific Ocean. And if there's severe storms, then they're highly subject to some extensive wind damage and flooding. Anyway, that was a memorable trip to a so-called exotic island paradise. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Who would like to give the next table topic speech? Jean. Jean, as a kid, what was your dream vacation, and did you ever go on it? As a kid, what was your dream vacation, and did you ever go on it?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master and fellow Toastmasters and honored and distinguished guest. Hands down, my favorite vacation, my ideal vacation growing up was going to the beach. My dad loved to go to the beach, and I'm talking about ocean beach. I'm not talking lake, anything inland. I wanted Atlantic or Pacific. I loved going to the beach. It was just something about my DNA. Maybe I crawled out of the ocean years and, you know, millions of years ago, but getting to the ocean just satisfied me in such a way. My dad taught us how to surf with the rafts. You know, you go paddle out and you get on a wave and then catch it and you come in. I love that feeling of salt drying on your body and the hot sun and your muscles getting all relaxed, heading back and having a shower. Everything always tasted so good, food-wise. I couldn't get enough of the beach. Here I am in Iowa. It's about equidistant from either ocean. I really have to say that if Iowa had a beach, an oceanic beach, I would be set. Never have to go anywhere else. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Jean. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Okay, Aaron. Tell us a funny thing that happened to you on vacation. Tell us a funny thing that happened to you on vacation.
Fellow Toastmasters and our honored guests and viewers at home. One of the most memorable trips that I ever took personally was to Hawaii. Actually, we went multiple times, but on this particular time, it was the first time we'd ever been to Hawaii. So it was a really, really big deal. First time we'd really been tropical. Usually we went to like a ski resort or something a little more low key. We were out in the ocean on it was really high tide, a lot of waves going through, and my sister had handed me her sunglasses because of the fact that she was trying to ride the waves and she didn't want to get them knocked off. Well, of course it was funny to me, but it's funny looking back on it, but it really wasn't funny to her at the time. That at one point in time, I was getting kind of close to the water, kind of trying to watch her ride the waves and trying to have some fun of my own. And I had the sunglasses up on the top of my head, and all of a sudden, yeah, you see where this is going. All of a sudden, a huge wave came crashing through, washed me well over the top of my head, and then when I came up, my sister's sunglasses were gone. and yeah, again, not so funny at the time because my sister was not very happy with me, but I thought it was pretty funny just because of the fact that I did not expect that wave to come through so fast, so heavy. And, you know, my dad and I got really a kick out of it. And maybe we were kind of mean in the regard that we thought it was even funnier, the fact that my sister was so upset. And so, like, they were cheap sunglasses. It wasn't like she lost like a $200 pair. But it was the sentimental value that she attached to them, I think. But yeah, that's a moment that my dad and I still laugh about to this day. And my sister is kind of like, oh, you guys are such jerks. So, thank you for the question.
Okay.
Jean, you want to take over?
Yes, all righty. Thank you, Rick, for passing the baton. Who would like to go? I think we have our two evaluators right at the moment. Okay, Dan's up to the plate.
All right.
This is my husband, Phil, just so you know.
Hey, Phil.
In case I get a mean one at him, then. All right, Dan, 1 to 3.
2.
In your favorite hot fun adventure, who would you like to do it with and why?
Oh, God.
Oh,
Boy,
brother.
that's a loaded question to,
That's the one.
Fellow Toastmasters,
Doesn't
honored
have to be
guest.
me.
Yes, let's think a minute. What did I mention about who I'd like to go with on a hot, fun vacation? I think I'd like to go with my beautiful wife, Jean. Since we've been married, we've done all our vacations together, and I think we might as well keep doing it. Seems that's a recipe for marital harmony. Jean and I, Phil, you may not know since you don't know us so well, but we're kind of in a way, we're the perfect couple because I speak about 3 or 4 words per hour, and Jean fills in the gaps. Very beautifully, really. I mean, a person could listen to Jean talk and just be mesmerized.
Oh, word use.
But we have gone on some wonderful vacations. We had a very memorable cruise at one time, Caribbean cruise. We've gone to Hawaii a couple times. And there's just no better companion that I could possibly imagine than my beautiful wife, Jean.
Hmm. I should have prefaced that saying, you know, no restrictions on this one, Dan. You don't have to be, you don't have to be PC or anything like that.
Oh, believe me, I would have heard about it later. So.
I would say, Dan, that dinner is at stake here.
Yeah.
Probably a lot more than that.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Okay. All right. Who else would like to go? Rick, you haven't gone either, have you?
I haven't, and I'd be happy to go.
Okay. So 1, 3, or 4?
4.
With COVID-19 restrictions in place, how would you structure hot fun in the summertime for yourself and whoever else you'd like to include?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. I've been thinking about this quite a bit. What can I do during this time of restriction, during this time where we're confined to our homes? And I actually have spent a lot of time going over what my vacation would be during these restrictive times. So the first thing I would do is walk into my living room. My living room is very exciting. I spend a lot of time there, but I never get tired of it. You can look out the window, see the trees. We have bird feeders in the front. And watching the birds eat is about the most exciting thing I do every day. The second thing, if I'm ever hungry, I can take a few steps and go into my kitchen. And there's tons of food there. There's food for sandwiches, there's snacks. In fact, there's probably way too much food for these times. And also, this is kind of scary, and I don't do it that often. I can go outside. As I mentioned, I don't do it that often, and it's pretty scary out there. It's wide open, there's noises, I see people, but occasionally I'll screw up my courage and I'll be able to go outside. So even talking about the things that I'm going to do on my pandemic vacation, I'm quite tired, I'm quite drained. It was just so exciting talking about it. And so I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Rick. All right. Where are we with the evaluators? I think Bob still needs to.
Yeah, I have not.
It's Bob's turn to evaluate.
It's Bob's turn to evaluate.
We could swap this one, Bob. I'll evaluate you. and you can do the next person.
Say it again, Dan.
Go ahead and do the table topics. I'll evaluate you.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So Bob, 1 or 3?
We'll go 3.
Some like it hot, some like it cold. Which temperatures are your preference, and why do you like them, and what would you be doing in them?
Thank you.
Okay, let's give them a little chance here to think. Yep.
Some like it hot, some like it cold. Sounds like a rock and roll song to me. I can just see those rock stars just dancing across the thing. Either which way, I'm a rocker, true and true. And even my guys at work know that I'm a rocker. So I'm always listening to rock music when I'm going on vacation on when it's hot or cold. And since in my profession, I have the opportunity to work outside year round, which leads me to want to go someplace a little hotter than colder. And that being said, I usually try to go to Florida for a couple weeks down there and go scuba diving or snorkeling or just a little swimming. And last year I got to go deep sea fishing for the first time, and I caught a 7'2" shark, a Sandusky shark. So that was real exciting on the boat. And when I reeled it in, the boat captains were just as mesmerized that a tourist like me could catch a 7'2" Sandusky shark. Matter of fact, so they let me name the shark, and I named the shark Bob's the Man. And it's stuck in the state of Florida. So that's got my thing. And also, as you might have known, when you're on a boat, you usually meet a pretty girl. And so I was chaperoned by this pretty girl that I just met, and it was a fun time. What was interesting about this shark experience is I was the guy that you see strapped in a chair with that big fishing pole, and it was like reeling in a truck underwater, and it took an hour to reel this thing in. I'm just like, about halfway through, my arms are just about ready to fall off. And I was like, I just want to cut the line. I can't take it. It just hurt so bad. Anyways, long story short, I got it into the boat, and then once I got it in, then they allowed the other 6 passengers to take their turn. They let the shark go out for a little bit, let it come back in, and everybody reeled it in. So if any of you would like to see my photos or videos on this shark, I'd be happy to share with that. That being said, let's have a hot time in Florida.
Bob. So I have one more here. And I'm thinking Phil is probably getting a little antsy over there, listen, Phil, would you like to go again?
I will certainly go again.
Okay. Now you're getting the hang of it. You see how we do it.
And this time, Aaron, I'll be more aware of the color background. I was completely,
I
ignorant.
apologize. I didn't do a very good job.
No, that was fine.
Yeah. Okay, so so that's perfect. Yeah, you do want to watch your timer. And also, Phil, the rules are with table topics is that you have up to 30 seconds where you can just think quietly, organize it in your head, what you want to say before you speak. And that's a real life skill. If someone asks you in an interview or out on the street a question, you don't have to hop right into an answer. You are allowed to think, compose yourself. It gives you a sense of gravitas. It makes your audience know that you're a thinking person and you're going to give them something worthwhile. So up to 30 seconds is completely at is your choice. All right. All right, Phil. If you could be anywhere for hot fun in the summertime, where would you be? And what would you be doing?
That's a very interesting question, Miss Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and the residents at home who may be viewing.
Mm-hmm.
I would again like to go to an exotic island or country that I would not ordinarily choose to go to. And so I would choose to go to the island of Java, part of the chain, I guess, of Indonesia. Because I especially like to see natural scenery, all the variety and splendor which Mother Nature can reveal to someone who is absorbed in the sights and the sounds of nature. And on Java, I'm sure there are very unique areas where there could be jungle that I would be hardy enough to be able to trek through and to be able, but of course I would not want to be by myself. I could easily get lost, which would be somewhat scary, especially if night fell and all the weird sounds of the jungle and night would be a cacophony of mesmerizing sounds. But that would be a very interesting experience to go to the island of Java, be safely part of a native escorted tour of unique sites there. Madam Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. I've been mesmerized by these topics.
Yes.
As soon as the COVID restrictions are lifted, I'm on tickets and I'm heading out. So I think, are we done with table topics, Mr. Toastmaster, or do we need more?
We're at 8:19 right now. We're supposed to be done at 8:26. Maybe we can come up with one or two more questions. Did our table topics masters use all their questions?
I got a couple more.
All right, Rick.
Who would like to go?
I'll go.
Okay, Aaron.
Wait, can someone time me? Sorry, last time no one timed me.
I can time you. I come prepared.
Thank you, Bob.
Is Dan evaluating?
Yes.
Okay.
Aaron, normally vacations are very good. They're excellent. They're wonderful. But sometimes they're not. Tell us about the worst vacation you've ever been on.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. The worst vacation that I ever took, I was actually too young to remember it. And it was actually the first vacation, the first true vacation that I took, the first of many trips to Disney World. But for this first trip, we didn't even know that we were going to Disney World. For you see, the plan was to visit my dad's friends down in Florida, some family friends of his who own a lot of restaurants in the area. We were gonna have a fun time, hang out with them, enjoy the beaches and all that stuff, but we did not anticipate the fact that it was going to rain and rain harder than Florida had ever had rain before, which is a lot because Florida does rain quite often. And it was also, the temperatures were significantly lower. And, of course, nothing compared to the Midwest, but we're talking low 50s here as far as temperature goes in Florida, high 40s even. And not the type of weather that you want to be at when you're in Florida. And it was to the point that everything was closed. No, it was just like a tsunami practically, with just a cacophony of craziness. And my dad said, "Get me out of here. Where can I go?" And they said, "Orlando, Florida." And so he took us there. And I'm just picturing in my mind that all of a sudden this ray of light is shining down on Mickey Mouse's face as we're coming through the front gates of the Magic Kingdom. And, you know, the Alleluia choir is singing as we walk through the front door. And all of a sudden, you know, when it was all said and done, this is where we are going to be for the next 8 out of 10 years for our vacations. So out of the darkness of that terrible vacation came a great experience for the next several years. Thank you.
If you have another one, Rick, remember we
Okay.
will have a lot of more evaluations, just
Yes.
to keep in mind.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
So should we stop now?
That might be a good idea.
Okay.
Might be okay.
Good thinking, Jean.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you all for participating in our table topic session this evening. And now I have to ask myself which table topic speakers qualified. And in this case, everyone qualified at one point in time. Now, Phil, your first speech did not qualify just because you went over the 2.5-minute time period, but your second speech did qualify, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And all the others did qualify. I believe. Bob, did I qualify? Now I think we can, at this time, we can vote for best table topics speaker. Please send your votes to myself. Phil, just so you know, what you can do is if you go to the chat, there's an option to click.
I see it. I
Yeah,
see it.
so you click on everybody and then change it to me, Aaron Russell, and then you can just send it to me.
And you're allowed to vote for yourself, Phil, but
I
not
would
more.
never do that.
Not more than once.
All right, everybody voted. Thank you. Now we will move on to, gosh, are we already? Oh, table topics evaluations. How do we, so each person had what? 3
I ended up
speeches?
with 2, 3, 4, 5.
Each
How
person?
How many did Bob have?
I had 3.
Well,
Okay.
that's not fair.
Well,
Because
so
if I understood it correctly, Dan, you were going to do the first one, the third one, and the fifth one, and I was doing 2, 4, and 6. Is that correct?
Yes.
If I spoke, then someone else would do with me on the
Swap
sixth one.
over at the end. It's okay. I was just kidding.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'll hear about it later tonight, though. Yeah. So let's do, for Bob, let's do 2 to 3. That's 2 at green, 2.5 yellow, 3 is red.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob, that you should be able to do that. 3, and I know this is your first time as table topics evaluator. So you've been walking. Maybe we'll start with Dan. Should we start with Dan?
So should Dan be what, 3 to 4 or
Dan has 5. So Dan, 3 to 4, or what?
4 to 5?
I think 3 to 4 is enough.
You want to keep it tight. So
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. I first had Phil to evaluate. And the question Phil was asked was, what was your best vacation ever? And he began to tell us about a cruise that he and his wife took to the Polynesian Islands there were a number of things that I really liked about your talk, Phil. You had good gestures as you were speaking. I particularly liked that you painted word pictures for us. The mountains with the mist hanging low, the crystal clear water. I thought the only suggestion I would have had for that first talk was to be more aware of the time, but we've talked about it. It was kind of a technical problem. One of the reasons that you ran long is that you diverted into kind of a tangential subject. I thought, in speaking about the natives and how they have a subsistence living. So if you had stuck with the original focus of the talk, then I think that would have been a little stronger. Aaron was asked, what's a funny thing that happened to you on a vacation? And he originally looked like he was going to go in the wrong direction. He said, my most memorable vacation, and my antennae were up. But he did end up talking about losing his sister's sunglasses and how it wasn't funny at the time, but he and his father get great yucks from it over the years. And his sister still hates them for it. I don't really have a suggestion for you other than to think maybe you could have presented your sister's point of view in a slightly different delivery, a different voice. Might have added a characterization there.
Mm-hmm.
Rick was asked, with COVID restrictions, what would you do to take a hot, fun vacation? And he really had a wonderful, humorous talk about the wonderful things he could do in living room, kitchen, and even if he was brave enough to go outside. So it all hung together very well. I think the only suggestion I could have for you is to take a little more time to organize at the beginning. But it came out so well, maybe it wasn't even necessary. Bob was asked, do you like to go to a hot place for vacation or cold? And I think the main suggestion I got for you, Bob, is to take a little time to organize in your mind. It turns out that you gave two little responses. One was about rock music. Sounds like a rock song. I love to listen to rock music as I work, et cetera, et cetera. And then subject two, which was the more fun one, was when you were going to Florida because you like to go to a warm place. And you had really nice descriptions of your experience of deep sea fishing. We were there with you trying to pull that thing in. And I like the phrase, it felt like you're pulling in a truck. That really brought it home. So very well done. And Aaron, number 2, your question was, what was a vacation where it wasn't really a fun time? What was your worst vacation? I like that you repeated the question at the beginning. I like that you had the twist of saying that I was so young, I didn't actually experience it, but I know that it was this trip that my family took to Florida. I was a little confused. I thought it could have been a little clearer about how it went from being in 40 degrees, constant rain, and then going to Orlando. And suddenly it was rainbows and Mickey Mouse and the Alleluia Choir. Not sure how we got there. I thought that maybe you meant that in the future, since you'd gotten into the habit of going to Orlando and the Magic Kingdom, that you had these wonderful times. But so I think it just would have been a little clearer for me if you would have told us how old you actually were and if the weather really did turn around at the time that you went there. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Bob, are you ready to do your evaluation?
I am, Aaron. I wanted to clarify something though. On the evaluation, when you first spoke, when you said 2 or I will do the evens, I was under an understanding that I would do the second person and the fourth person and the sixth person. Was that right? Is that how I'm supposed to do the evals?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
So we got crossed up somewhere. We swapped on purpose at the end so you could talk out of turn.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Well,
Is someone going to get 2 evaluations?
yeah. Because I think, Dan, you evaluated everyone, and then I just only going to evaluate the second and fourth one and the sixth one.
No, I didn't do everyone.
Okay.
He didn't do me, did he?
No, I
No.
guess for some reason I have Rick down here. Well, Rick, I'll start with you, Rick. So you were, I know Phil was the first one, and so anyways, Rick, I especially liked yours. It was kind of off the hip, and I like that about your vacation at home in your living room and your refrigerator, which I can kind of relate to. I'm kind of a homebody once I get home from work, and that was real relatable to myself. But what was really funny was that when you were talking about venturing outside, the only suggestion I would have is when you went outside, if you could have shared an experience, what happened, whether it was frightful, or did you only take one step outside or step back in, or did you see anybody out there? If you could have just elaborated a little bit on that, I think it would have spiced up the story just a little, made it more interesting. But other than that, it was a great speech. Then, Phil, on yours that I evaluated, I especially like it, like Dan shared, that your words, you bring us right into the vacation area in there. And it sounds like it's someplace you really love to go, obviously, and you stated that you want to go back there. I related to it because I like watching National Geographic things on TV, and it always looks so adventurous. And we just feel like we're really in the jungle there and meet the locals and the different things. But as you shared too, as far as you wouldn't want to be out there by yourself with all the noises and the sounds. And I don't know if anybody would either, other than if you were a local there. Only suggestion I would have is if you would kind of zero in on a specific reason, incident, maybe with some wildlife that you encountered, or some locals that shared some folklore, or something that could have pulled us more deeper into that story. And then Jean, I especially like yours. It reminds me that you sound like you had just the perfect childhood with a loving father, take you to the beach. It sounds like one of those little teen movies that you would see, the little surfer girl out here having fun. And, of course, you got dad all bronze and everything, watching over his beautiful little daughter. All right, guys, back up. I could just envision it happening, that's my daughter. And being a father, I can relate with that wholly. Only thing I would like to hear from you, Jean, is a specific incident. Yes, I wish we had beaches here in Iowa, and that would be just so much fun versus a lake. But I would specifically like to hear something, maybe with a couple girlfriends, or how you got stung by a jellyfish, or why what you did, whether you went scuba diving or snorkeling, just something that would kind of pull us even closer to wanting to be there.
Good.
Right. Other than that, it was a great speech.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. Thank you, Phil.
Great.
Thank you, Bob and Dan. As far as who qualified, Bob was the evaluator to qualify. So we will not need to vote on best evaluator.
Okay. Okay.
And then with that, I would like to pass it off to our general evaluator to finish out the meeting, Jean Symington Craig.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Let me get my agenda turned upside.
What happened?
I'm doing okay. I'm trying to get my visuals here. I have a new computer stand, so my computer sits up instead of putting my computer on books and trying to get, so anyway, let's see. All right. So we're at our reports time. I will go ahead and ask for our timers report from Aaron. Aaron, let us know.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I'll go through the table topic speeches. Bill's first speech, 3 minutes, 12 seconds. Jean, 1 minute, 28. Dan, 1:35. Rick, 1:41. Bob, 2:18. Phil's second speech, 1:52. And Bob, did you write down what my second speech was?
It was 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So you qualified.
All right. And then for our evaluations, Dan was 4:45 and Bob was 3:07.
Okay,
And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Our next role that we'd like to hear from would be our mesmerizing grammarian, Bob Fogle.
Thank you, everyone. Well, this evening, that mesmerize was a well-used words in this evening's speeches, including myself. I used it once that I recall. Dan used it once. Jean used it once. And Phil used it once. And I'm sure that Rick and Aaron wanted to use it. They just didn't quite the words out. That's all. So. And that is my report.
Our next reporter would be our counter, Rick Starr.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. We did a very good job on not using filler words. Dan and Jean didn't have any. Bob had a couple of uhs and ums. Aaron had one you know, and Phil had one but. But overall, very good effort to everyone. Thank you.
Rick, could you give an explanation of what one but means? Can you give an example of? I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way. I mean grammatically. Just stop laughing, Aaron. What does that mean, Rick? Can you so Phil knows and we all know what that means?
It's joining two phrases of a sentence with a but, where more appropriately it would be to just say the second phrase, or if you wanted to make it clearer, stop and have the second phrase begin a new sentence.
Okay.
So that would be an example of using a but as a filler word.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Similar to when and is used to string sentences together.
Yep,
okay.
Similar to and.
All right, good. All right, thank you very much for that. We have a joke now from our joke master, Dan Craig.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. There was a guy back in the days of the Wild West who moved from the East Coast to Dodge City. And the only job he could find was as a bartender. Mm-hmm. The owner of the bar gave him some training and he said, okay, now you're a barkeep, you know what to do. I have one piece of advice for you though. If you ever hear anybody say that Big John is coming, get out as quick as you can, just save yourself. So good luck. A few months went by, it was just kind of the normal bar stuff. But sure enough, one day, this guy comes riding down the street, just screaming at the top of his lungs, "Big John is coming! Run for your life!" The bar just emptied out. People were diving out of windows. They were out of there in just a flash. But the barkeep, unfortunately, froze. He just couldn't make his feet move. So he kept standing there behind the bar. And suddenly there's this thundering sound outside. And it looked a lot like Mongo in Blazing Saddles. This humongous guy riding in on a buffalo, but even meaner than that. The guy walks in through the doors. He's stomping across the floor. The whole building shakes with each step. He gets to the bar. He slams down his fist. The bar splits. The length of the bar says, "Beer!" And the little guy, draws a picture and he hands it to me. He says, "More beer!" He draws another picture. The guy, 1, 2. And the little barkeep thinks, maybe I can live through this. I'll just be nice. He says, "Well, sir, is there anything else that I could get for you?" And the big guy says, "Well, thanks, buddy. That's nice of you, but I got to run. Big John's coming."
That's pretty funny, Dan. And it's not just the joke, it's Dan's delivery. I know, but you have a good delivery. It's another muscle group, learning how to tell a joke, getting into it, and really having that delivery, not just reading it. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you had gestures within Zoom, which is very nice. All right, it's time for the general evaluators report. So this is 3 to 4 minutes, Mr. Timer. And I have, what do I have? I have 8, 9, I don't know. But before you start timing me, Phil, we evaluate the evaluators. Because evaluation, Toastmasters has said evaluation is the foundation for Toastmasters. It's how people get better. And I also say we evaluate everything that moves. So this is more of an abstract skill. So it's not evaluating the performance, it's evaluating the evaluator's assessment of the performance. Okay, just wanted to explain that because a lot of clubs don't do this. All right, thank you, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. We started out with Dan, and he did very well. He gave the quick question at the beginning of each speaker. So he reminded the audience of what the question was, which was important. Starting with Phil, he gave some positives, good gestures. He suggested be aware of time, and also a suggestion about the content, not to get straying from into a secondary subject that he wouldn't have time to elaborate and maybe would detract a little bit from the main focus. Again, Phil, we always want to have suggestions. So that's why our evaluators are always going to look for a suggestion. Now for me, for all of the evaluations, my big suggestion was to comment on how the opening, the body, and the conclusion integrated. Was there an opening? Did the body support the opening with subpoints? And did the conclusion wrap back to the opening in a nice, neat package? That would be my suggestion for pretty much most of Dan's. Aaron, worst thing that ever happened to him. Dan gave a good suggestion, an option for vocal variety, have a different voice for the sister. And for me, I would just say, also comment on his opening, body, and conclusion, which is even appropriate for a story. because the initial opening sets the stage, then the story happens, and then the summary would, or the conclusion would wrap that back up to the opening. Rick had the Dan also did COVID-19 vacation, complimented Rick on humor, said he could had a suggestion, take more time to organize. My question for that would be, why? I didn't hear a good reason that said he needed more time. Dan said you thought was pretty well perfect. Of course, it always can get better with more time, but I would have liked to have heard some deficiency that could have been fixed with more time. And also, again, opening, body, and conclusion. Bob had the hot or cold question. And Dan said, I suggested more time. And also, again, this kind of a little bit more time to think about it so that you don't end up having two different storylines that don't really support each other. So starting out with rock music, always a great start, but all of a sudden we're fishing in Florida, and like, how did that happen? Unless we're listening to music, rock music on the boat in Florida. No, I'm just kidding. But again, opening, body, and conclusion. And if you take up to 30 seconds to think about that, you can organize that in your mind ahead of time and have a more coherent response. Aaron, the worst vacation. And Dan had a good comment about the twist. And Dan also said he wasn't clear exactly what was happening with the weather. So again, opening, body, and conclusion on top of that would be great. Dan really had suggestions for everyone. It's a very solid performance. Bob gave another recommendation, another evaluation for Rick, a little bit of cross wires there on the COVID-19. And Bob said, really likes to hear a specific example, maybe of something that Rick could have been extra afraid of running outside in terms of terror on his summer vacation. Opening, body, and conclusion, Bob. How did Rick do on that? For me, for me and for Phil, another speech, Bob suggests that you give the question, remind the audience of what the question was, the original question. So it helps the audience. Again, on both cases, he thought a specific example or an instance could be useful. Phil was hypothetical, so it's a little hard to say something happened, but he could perhaps fantasize about it. That's my evaluation. Mm-hmm. And with that, I will hand it back over to our Toastmaster, Aaron Russell.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I'd like it to hand out our meeting awards at this time. First, we have our best table topics speaker. Drum roll, please. Rick Starr.
Here we go, here we go.
Yay, thank you.
Here we go. Woo.
All right.
Hold on, let me get a screenshot of that. Hold on.
And then our best evaluator, Bob. Yay.
Ooh, oof, oof.
Thank you, everyone, for a successful meeting tonight. Now I'd like to pass it off to our president, who is myself, Aaron Russell, to close out the meeting. I've got a couple announcements. I just got an email today, this afternoon. I don't know if anyone's seen it yet because it came out so recently, to register for the international convention.
I got that. I got one.
Yeah. It just came at like 5 o'clock or something. So I can forward it on for people who are not in the loop on that, or if people haven't been getting emails. Bob in particular, have you been getting emails from Toastmasters International?
I haven't received that email that you're speaking of.
Okay. Is that there's like a
I got the one from Jean to talk about for the officers thing that's supposed to be tomorrow night at 5:30. And the reason
yes.
I haven't responded is because I have a previous engagement up in Cedar Rapids with some inspectors, so I
Okay.
make that meeting.
But I was just curious, the Toastmasters International, they send out meetings maybe once a week or so, just about stuff that's going on with Toastmasters at the international level. And
Okay,
I wasn't sure if you have been getting those.
Are a lot of those TI emails going to the officer group? And
Or
they're
yeah, I
asking
guess
the
you're right.
officers
Some of
to
them might,
put them on?
but
I don't
like
have
the
it. I didn't get one.
about the registering for the conference.
Not around 5 o'clock.
No,
Mm-mm.
must be presidential preference.
Yeah. I'll forward it to everybody.
Oh, you know what? It got put in my promotions folder. You know, Gmail. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where it is. I'd probably see it on my phone. So I did get it. I did get it.
And then the other, and
yeah.
just for the heck of it, I'll forward it on to the rest of the club.
Mhm.
The other announcement, as Bob already alluded to, was the Toastmasters Leadership Institute. They have their final makeup session is tomorrow. I will be attending. I believe it's 5:30 to 7:40,
Mhm.
7:45.
Mhm.
I know Jean and Dan have already attended. And Jean brought up a good point that I didn't even know about, is that it's open. It's not just for officers. I mean, officers, it's more geared towards them, but other people can attend, which I didn't even know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other announcements?
I got a question about that meeting. If I'm going to be away from my LAN computer on my phone, will I be able to pick up that thing on my phone?
I think Zoom has a mobile app.
Okay. For that meeting tomorrow at 5:30?
Mhm.
I know I can't, I have I probably couldn't tune in till after 6 just because of the prior meeting that I have.
Well, I don't think the meeting really. The 5:30 to 5:45 is like people shuffling in, and then 5:45 to 6 is like a introduction. So if you call in at 6, I don't think you're really going to miss anything.
Oh, okay.
I believe there's a registering. They're asking people to register.
Yeah, you
And
will
so-
need to register.
So Bob, I would suggest you, if you want to do that, even if you end up not being able to attend, but if you wanted to register, because they cut off registration at some point. Oh, we lost Phil.
Uh-oh.
Phil
Or
left.
He just signed off. Shoot.
Okay. Well, he's cooked, I guess. Yeah.
Well, then I'll
So
take the time to sign up tonight then, and at least I'm registered, and then I'll just see how it all plays out tomorrow.
yeah. And I believe there's also, there could be a phone way you can join. I just don't know. I don't want you to work too hard. I mean, you're trying to get it in. There is a Zoom phone app. So you could play with it, see if it could, register and then download that app. From where do you go? Do you have an Android?
Yes.
Okay, so what is that? That's the
I got the new
Play.
20, the newest thing.
What-
Android.
Yeah, where do you? I can't remember. I used to have an Android. Where do you get your apps?
Oh, I mean,
What's
my phone company. I'm
Google-
US Cellular.
Google Play.
What, Dan?
Google Play is.
Google Play.
Yeah.
All right, Google Play.
Okay.
So just go in there and search for Zoom and then download Zoom.
Okay.
And it should show up as a little icon thing on your, your kind of home screen.
Mhm.
And then you can, I don't know, go in and use that to get on. I haven't done it, so I don't want to give you bad information, but that's the idea, is that you could go in there and then plug in the Zoom, link that you get.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you want to register tonight, do that like right away as soon as we hang up. And then you want to send an email to follow the directions in that email I sent you, because you then want to email Mary Schulte and tell her you've registered and you'd like the link.
Okay.
So she's our division. She's the one who's overseeing this whole event.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone have any other pressing business?
I guess we're having an officers meeting next Tuesday.
No, yes. Yes, that
No,
I
or
knew I
yes.
was forgetting something.
Mhm.
So you can send us an email.
Yeah. Yes, next week at 7 o'clock,
That's
we
good.
will have our officers meeting. Officers are required to attend, but anyone who is a member of our club can attend, and we'll just use the same Zoom link that we use for the regular meetings.
Although I'm not officially a member of the club, as the coach, I would like to attend, if that would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I have one question. If I invite somebody to come join in as a guest, do I tell you, Aaron, or who do I let know?
I mean, you can tell me. You could also tell Dan, who is our vice president of membership.
Okay.
Maybe we can send this person some introductory information so they know a little bit before they sign in.
Okay.
So in terms of sending him stuff beforehand, I don't know if we've ever done that before, and we like, this is just my thoughts, we'd like their sort of introduction to Toastmasters to be as low-key and as gentle as possible. And so what does everybody think about sending? Because generally people just show up, they're a little nervous, they're afraid they're going to be forced into speaking, and we try to make the first meeting just as low-key as possible.
Okay.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, is he going to join wherever he is, or is he going to be at your house? Like he'd be in your little screen there, or what?
No, he's going to join from his location. Just
Okay.
from Zoom.
So you've got his email address. You can send him the link.
That's what I need. I just have his phone number right now, but I will get his email. I was gonna do it earlier today, but I didn't have enough time. So, but I did speak to him about Toastmasters, and he was excited
Good.
to know something about it. And then so anyways, I will find that out, and then I'll get it sent out to you guys.
Great.
And Bob, you're going to do a speech next week. Is that correct?
That is right, Jean. Yes, I am.
Okay, so you can okay, so you can tell Davey that you'd really appreciate him listening. You'd appreciate the support.
Yep.
That's another reason for him to come in.
And then I also spoke to some other people, a couple that are the owners of Elliott Realty in Washington, and they showed some interest. They would like to find out more, maybe sit down in a meeting also.
Beautiful.
I'm just excited about Toastmasters, as you can tell. So I've been telling a lot of people.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're supposed to do, Bob. I mean, you are walking the talk of what we all are supposed to be doing, because personal invitation is very strong motivator. They say, I don't know, but I trust you and I know you, and I want to check it out because you speak so highly of it. Of course, right now we're not out and about, and
Sure.
we're afraid to step out the door, per Rick. But
When I go out there, I'm all psyched to talk to a lot of people, but I hardly see anybody in my yard at all. So, but I'm going to keep trying.
yeah, I don't know what happened. They're not swarming in your yard anymore. But yeah, so
So you talk to the pizza delivery guy.
good. And Bob, when people join,
Mhm.
and if you were the person who invited them and got them, to come, when we send in their application, we put your name on a line, and after you get 4 or 5 of those, you get special recognition, and it's big. I mean, it's an important function that you're doing, and Toastmasters recognizes that.
And
Aaron.
plus, there's a lot of joy in introducing Toastmasters to new people.
Sure.
It's quite fulfilling.
I don't want to cut short this amazing conversation that we're having, but we are well over time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we can continue this conversation afterwards, but I'd like to officially close this evening's meeting.
Good.
So
Okay.
thank you, everyone. I think that's a wrap.
Yes.